Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Realtree, Hoyt Archery, Muddy Outdoors, Fuse Accessories, Frigid Forage, Trophy Rock, Scentmaster, Cabela's, Rocket Broadheads, TrailCamPro.com, Bloodsport Arrows, Redneck Hunting Blinds, ScentLock, Woods Zero Turn Mowers, Scott Archery, Yeti Coolers, and Nikon.
Welcome to Midwest Whitetail. Today is Sunday, the 29th of December. And our whole episode this week is going to come down to one evening of hunting. We got our bases covered though. I'm going back into one of the blinds I've been hunting quite a bit this season. I don't need to probably introduce this spot. I'm sure if you've been watching the show for the past few weeks, you've seen us in there quite a bit. Greg's got the muzzleloader and the late muzzleloader tag. I've got my bow into my late muzzleloader tag, which is good for the bow also. And Colton Cason, who's been a long-time pro staff member for Midwest Whitetail, going all the way back to 2008 when we first started this series. He's going to be hunting on a farm. It's probably about 3 miles from here, 4 miles from here. And he had a really good buck on trail camera a few days ago during daylight. And big, heavy 10-pointer, big mature buck. He's hoping to get that buck this evening. In fact, he was in there yesterday evening, and he said there's a lot of deer that came out. Everything came out except that one buck that he was after. So hopefully now with this temperature drop, yesterday was in the 40s, pushing 50, and today it's 10 degrees with about a 25 mile per hour wind straight out of the north. So big change in temperature, and weather conditions are going to play a factor this evening. The question is going to be whether the deer are going to come out with this high wind or whether they're going to lay low. So we got 2 guys in the field. One way or the other, we're going to bring you all the action from this evening's hunt. Hopefully we can bring you some excitement before we're done. There's some rough conditions today. Like I stated earlier, it's about 10 degrees or so and about a 25 mile an hour wind. And I'm going to jump to Colton here in just a minute, and he can tell us about the spot that he's hunting and this deer that he's after. We have had a camera on him for several hunts this fall, and he's had some pretty good action. Unfortunately, so far this season, he hasn't been able to get close enough to a buck to get a good bow shot, so we haven't brought you any of his hunts so far. But this is a good chance for us to kind of catch up on Colton's season and bring you up to date on some of the deer that he's been hunting and some of the action that he's been having.
Well, it's October 23rd tonight. I'm back in the same blind I was at last night, hunting for a buck called Double Trouble. Hopefully we can get a crack at him, because he's been coming through an open gate out here to my right. Well, it's October 24th, and hopefully tonight we've seen him the last 2 nights in a row. And tonight we're going to try something I haven't tried in a while. We got a decoy out in front of the blind. Alright guys, well, we're all set up. It's December 29th. We're back in the same blind hunting a buck called Double Trouble. October 24th, we had this guy out in the same turnip patch at like 60, 70 yards and couldn't get him killed. Tons of history with this thing. Sheds the last 2 years. Awesome buck. He's been showing up back now on the turnip plot in daylight. December 29th, heavy winds. It was 50 degrees here in Iowa yesterday. Now it's 5 degrees. Huge swing. Man, this wind's tough, but we're going to stick it out. Let's go check on Bill and Greg, and hopefully they're having a little luck.
We've been in the blind for about half an hour, 45 minutes so far. We've got a small flock of longbeards out here to the right. That's been it so far. The real question is going to be whether or not the deer will move with this much wind. And I guess we'll find that out this evening. The spot that I'm hunting is a redneck blind on this 1 acre food plot, and I've talked about it quite a bit this season. There's a couple of bucks here that are fairly regular visitors to this spot. One of them is that real small antlered 8-pointer that I think the deer's got to be at least 3 years old. Keep looking at the footage, and he's got the body of a mature buck and the antlers of a 1.5 year old buck. So with that being the case, he's a good target to remove. We've got some tags, so there's no reason to let this deer go. He's been coming out here quite a bit. In fact, the evening that I shot the buck from this blind back on the 27th of November, he was out in the field that evening. So there's a pretty good likelihood of him coming out. And then there's a nice, clean, say 135 type 8-pointer that's been coming out on this field quite a bit too. And between the two of those, they're the most likely ones to make it out this evening. I noticed looking at this food plot that a lot of the bean pods are gone. And just the last time we were in here, which was a week ago, I could notice a lot of difference between then and now. A lot of tracks in the snow. So they've really been hitting this food plot over the last week. And if they keep this rate up, it's not going to last a lot longer. The only upside to that is, with what little bit of late season hunting we've got left, it should concentrate the deer quite a bit. But the downside, of course, is that their nutrition is going to start to drop off quite a bit once we get past that period when these food plots have been completely fed out or cleaned out. So it's one thing we'll keep an eye on. There's one other plot on the farm that's pretty big, about 7 acres or so. I'm sure that one still has beans on it. So, after we get done hunting this one, that's probably going to be the one we fall back on. Ready?
Yeah.
Got about an hour left in our hunt. We've got, looks like 3 fawns and 1 adult doe out in front of the blind now. Wind is starting to slack off just a little bit. The deer are still acting kind of spooky, but I think as the evening goes on, if this wind lays down, they should just start piling into this field. Hopefully things are picking up in front of Colton's blind too. Before this evening is over with, I hope that buck that he's chasing shows up, because that's quite a dandy.
Well, it's about 4:30. I haven't seen much yet. It's been kind of norm this year with, even though we have good food and cold temps, these deer are just not coming out real early. This field last year was filled with deer. We had some footage, after late season ended of like 60, 70, 80 deer a night in this field. And now we're just hardly seeing it with EHD this year that came through, actually past 2 years. It's really had an effect on the numbers. So we're sitting on a big rye field. Tucked away in the corner, I got about 1.5 acres of big and beastie, and it's just unreal. Even on this dry year, it took off. I got bulbs the size of softballs pretty much. And the way it works, we're trying to get these deer to, especially when you get some snow on, to come right into the big and beastie for a chip shot, either with a bow or a muzzleloader. So that's kind of the philosophy tonight. We'll see if it pans out.
I'm down to about the last 45 minutes now, and the wind is still blowing pretty strong. I was hoping that it would calm down and the deer would start moving real heavy here towards the end of the day. And it's still possible that may happen. That small group that came out, the 3 fawns and the doe, they were only out here for just a few minutes before they worked their way off the field. I don't know if they just were uncomfortable out here in the windy conditions or what, but they didn't stick around long, and nothing's come out since. So that's not a good sign. But it only takes 1 deer, and until you get down to the tail end, sometimes right around sunset, the wind will just drop right off. So that's what I'm hoping for here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Here comes another one. I'm saying at least those 3 fawns will come out. That doe may not come out again with them. She didn't seem too happy with the arrangement first time around. Down to the last 5 minutes or so here. The wind really never did lay down. I guess that's probably the theme of today's episode. I've had good hunts on windy days, but today was not one of them. Just those fawns and that one adult doe is all we saw. And the word that we got from Aaron and Colton via text was that they haven't been seeing anything either. So I guess putting all of our eggs in one basket this evening didn't work out for us. My guess is that sometime over the next couple of days it's going to get really good. I guess tonight with this wind it's just too much for them. So maybe tomorrow if the wind's a little bit lower and we keep these cool temperatures, maybe these fields will fill back up with deer again. But we'll bring you some video blogs this week as we go. Hopefully we can keep you entertained that way through this week. And we'll keep after it. I mean, these cold conditions are tough to hunt, but these redneck blinds make it a lot easier. I sure wouldn't have wanted to be in a tree tonight. That's all I can say. I know that walk back to the truck isn't going to be very much fun either. Well, that's it for this week. I appreciate you joining me. We'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Midwest Whitetail. And remember to always dream big.